Hello and welcome back. You're now watching the second episode of ConsultManasi web series, a series that is dedicated exclusively to the field of communication that touches upon journalism, PR, advertising, marketing, both offline and digital, and most of it. Okay, I'm your host, Manasi. I'm a communication specialist, basically a digital marketing consultant and a social media coach. I'm also a guest faculty in a couple of colleges and a speaker for workshops, seminars, and other events related mostly to communication. Before we start the episode, I would like to make it very clear that this is not a paid episode and the content is the IP of Consult Mansi. The content should not be reproduced for commercial purposes, either partly or fully. And this episode doesn't sell any product or services. The opinions discussed here during the course of this episode is purely of the guest on the show and does not necessarily reflect on Consult Mansi's culture, workings, vision, or mission. Also, if you want to be a part of this series, then please be active on my Facebook page and LinkedIn page and my YouTube channel. This way, you'll get to know the tone of the show, and I'm happy to have you as my guest. That is, if your topic is new or not really well known in the industry. So that would be a value add to the people who are watching. So today's guest for the episode is Namita Liz Koshy, and she is the Vice President of Ogilvy India, the North Division. A little side conversation told me that both of us studied in the same college, that's Manipal Institute of Communication, and there is more about her as we progress. So hello Namita, welcome to the episode from ConsultManasi web series. I'm so glad you made time, girl.
Thank you, and you're doing a fantastic job. I really like the mission with which you're going at it, and I'm sure every person who works with you is very lucky to have the kind of guidance from you. I mean,
I'm so
we
glad.
studied and did a lot, so our mission is to make sure we use this knowledge and talent for the better,
Definitely. Definitely.
industry.
So true.
Shoot, how can I help?
Okay. So, see, I think apart from telling your designation and where you work, I think the people who are watching need to know more. So, tell us something about yourself. We'll start with your academic background and tell us a little about the journey between what happened in the academics to where you are today and what portfolio do you hold.
Okay. So I'm a master's in communication, but my graduation was BCom. Before that, I was in school. I did computer science, but by process of elimination, I said no. I don't want to do computer science. Then I was like, I don't want to do commerce anymore. Then I went into, and somewhere along the way, I wanted to be a documentary filmmaker, and then I realized that was never going to pay. So I decided to get on the corporate side, and I was like, but in those days, I hadn't even heard of OTT, so on the internet. So now I don't mind being a documentary filmmaker. But anyway, I'm coming back to so I graduated in comms, and pretty much my entire journey has been in this field of communication. But my first job straight out of college, campus placement, was a job with Accenture on the marketing side. We had a few of our alumni already there, and that was one of the reasons why they continued it. But yeah, anyway, so that was with Accenture. But in that first 3 years, the world, Facebook, Twitter came out and Facebook came out. I was very curious. I was like, what is this? And we were making websites in our work, and I was dealing with HTML and EDMs every single day from the day I started, right? And I could code my own HTML and stuff. And I was like, I wonder why has Facebook launched a like button now? Oh, there's a business page. Maybe we can do this. And it was the curiosity, and I was still dealing with websites on the other side, from my work perspective and internal comms and stuff. I said, no. I need to do something in the world of digital. I don't know why this is what it feels like. Completely. Not a soul around me could even spell digital. It was like that. And I quit, and I said, I'm going to figure this out. I have one life, one shot. Somebody told me along the way, in the first 10 years of your life, focus on the work, like fall in love with the work. The money, the fame, the power, all of that will come later, but you need work at the core of it, right? And he's a very big man right now in the auto industry. So I think his advice worked. Anyway, so coming on, I joined Ogilvy, right? So my entry into digital learning and stuff was, and that's amazing on the agency side. You have awesome learning because you're solving multiple industries, multiple brands, multiple problems, different ways of approaching it, different mindsets, so which was really good. In 6 months I had learned so much that I hadn't learned in 6 years. So long story short, I was with Ogilvy for 2 years, left, joined a few small agencies who were also either program specific or social or community specific, and then came back to Ogilvy. And I've been now back in the second stint for 4 years. So 6 out of my 13 years stint has been with Ogilvy, which means that I should be Namita Liz Koshy Ogilvy at some point. Half my name is also there. But anyway, I'm just joking around. My portfolio today is really, it's a very nice role that I have. I play a coach role. I like how you call yourself a social coach. I also play a coach role with some of our really bright teams who work on our big campaigns, whether it's a government campaign, whether it's an FMCG campaign or a food campaign thing. Not just campaigns, but accounts. And I'm also involved in the conversations when the team is with the client. So I'm there to sort of like bring my expertise to them. But all of these are young, dynamic, very enthused people. And I feel like a little bit of an oldie sage just sitting around and saying, yes, I agree with all of them. But sometimes I will use my expertise. And my expertise comes really from 2 years of helping build the Taco Bell brand on digital, using just digital without television, and it was really amazing business results. I wish I could reveal it all. So those are my last 2 years. I worked with Dabur for 3 years, trying to, working across the management and multiple verticals, helping them explore digital. And they're very good business people. So I learned a lot of business from Dabur. So it was 3 years with them. British Airways, which unfortunately now is going through one of the worst times. Done 4 years. All my last 4 years with Ogilvy I've done with British Airways. So, but lovely people. Accenture, of course, I had done 3 years in my first 3 years. IBM, I had done 2 years. Microsoft Group, I've done 4 years. So I mean, these are the long relationships where I have put in with the entire team blood, sweat, and tears. And it's not. I know there is this. Perspective that all we do is just brands and ads and stuff like that. Actually, I put it down to 4 things. The first one is business growth. We're in this industry not for marketing growth, but business growth, right? You as a business can reach so many people and extract so much revenue from them. We can have, these are the tools to help you reach more people, deepen relationships so that the value exchange is a lot better. So that's business growth. The second thing is, of course, digital exploration, because the potency of the internet culture is really high. So digital exploration and innovating on digital is another value that I have done for businesses. The third is, of course, doing you can't just do sometimes for big brands, you can't just do a digital campaign. You need to do a digital and offline campaign, right? So multi-channel campaigns being effective. And the last one is your advertising ROI. How do you manage your expectations on it? How do you reach that expectation or exceed those expectations? So I would help clients with that. Sorry, long conversation, but
when I listen to that, it seems like all work and too much work and beautiful work. What are your hobbies?
Oh, I read a lot. Okay, but I can't decide whether I like screen reading better than paper reading. I'm like still into camps, right? But I don't own a Kindle for some reason, so I read a lot. I've taken to cooking now, finally, because I just didn't understand how to, what to buy, where to do. But yeah, I'm enjoying the cooking right now. No, but and then of course, right, it's lockdown right now, and I would do it. But since I live in Gurgaon, my parents are in Bangalore. I make sure I come in once in a quarter to Bangalore. I haven't seen them for a while, but yeah. I'm an introvert. Any cerebral activity just gives me a lot of joy.
That's lovely. That's really nice to hear. So, how does your day look like, on a daily basis nowadays, considering the lockdown and the pandemic? How does your normal day look like?
My day is actually fairly reasonable. So wake up. I have a morning routine, which is my mother's insisted apple cider vinegar water in the morning. If I don't have it, she will. Anyway, come back. I do a little bit of writing. Then there's breakfast. Then there's reading of the Economic Times with such great detail. I love the Economic Times. Then usually the previous night I kind of know all my calls that happen, what time is what. So like I'll reschedule. Like today we're doing it early in the morning, but I'll usually reschedule my calls accordingly. I prefer to do calls 2 p.m. onwards because then all my reading and my all the work is taken care of, and then the interactions happen. So I do interactions mostly. About 50-70% of my work is just being on calls and advising and giving perspective. So I make myself available also. So I give different days to different teams. Yeah, and then I very rarely watch television, very rarely, but I love a murder mystery. So I am watching. I'll watch any series which has lots of murder mysteries. Okay, so whether it was Poirot, Agatha Christie's Poirot, or NCIS, which has 17 seasons, and I'm now on season number 14, I'll watch. And not horrible acting, but very okay acting, okay, and okay sets, but I will watch it, no problem. So I'm very peculiar taste. Yeah, I'm at home alone right now, but I have friends that we sit and text. We text every single day. So there's also some sort of dining table time over a WhatsApp chat. So that's what we call it. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I mean, I love the work-life balance part of it. Because there are, especially because of the work from home culture, it just becomes a little difficult to draw a line and say I'm done. But I think I love this where there is a lovely balance. Now that you've spoken about your hobbies and what you do, I want to come to that part which is totally to do with work. Okay, because
Yeah.
when I say Ogilvy, okay, at Ogilvy, I mean, very clearly it says we design the brand, we turn the brand into an experience, and we communicate the brand story. This is very simply put, totally Ogilvy, right? It says we make brands matter, and that's what Ogilvy has been doing for so long. Can you give us an example of a brand in the recent times that Ogilvy worked with where this process has been implemented? See, the idea is those who are watching, I want to see how this process has been taken up by Ogilvy. Because I come from a digital marketing background, and right now, what's happening in digital marketing is that 24 hours campaigns are live. Like you go to the client says, I've got certain budget, and they're like, fine. And they just design things overnight, and it's a single image ad, and it just goes live. So for me, coming from a corporate communications, a PR and advertising background, I don't understand it. I don't understand that. So I want to, jot down this process of what is it? What does it take to build that long-term relationship? And also, what does it take to build a brand? I want to understand
Sure.
this.
So look, there are multiple brands that we work on in our different offices, and I don't want to get into specifics of each of those brands, but I can tell you. So like I've given you the names of some of the brands that I've worked with, whether it was Taco Bell or Dabur. So like on Dabur Red has been a very strong brand and one of India's most trusted brands, and I've been, on the periphery of that team, and I've spoken and engaged with even the leadership on that team, and personally a user of the product, also a huge advocate as well. So, and I know the evolution. So if you're just looking from all of this, I'm going to condense it into one thing. This analogy makes people understand the value of building a brand. You don't build a house overnight, right? A place which is supposed to be a home for you, for people who visit you and things like that, right? And which tells you things. A brand is exactly like that. You don't make a movie overnight. You don't build a house overnight. So why is a brand supposed to be born overnight, right? Just like you make a script for a movie, just like you make a house plan for a, you go to an architect for a house plan, you need a brand plan, a map. What does it stand for? What does it hold? uh, what do I mean? What are people looking at? And you have to study this every year, and you have to upgrade this every year. You have to be consistent. You can automatically tell when a name has been consistent with some values and have been inconsistent with some values subconsciously. You don't need to use words for it. So many subconscious cues and signals. And we know this. We studied semiotics in college. We know this, right? So there's the words only compound you want to what you want to communicate and take back also. Just because you say something doesn't mean people are listening. The amount of signals your brain is taking at any given point of time is huge. So um, look, there's nothing wrong with an overnight. We also do overnight stuff, but we do overnight stuff once we completed a journey, once we've drawn out the house. I mean, we overnight paint our house, right? Sometimes we can buy our furniture and bring stuff in. We can do a little wall painting. All that's fine. You can do that with your social. You can do that with your banners. You can do all of that. But fundamentally, I can't go paint somebody else's house when I'm sitting in my own house. I can't decide what somebody else wants if I've not built it at some point, if I've not been part of the journey. So that analogy, I think, gets it in people's heads. You need to put your foundation in place. You need to build the walls. You need to choose a color. There's interiors which is different from construction, which is different from architecture. All of this we do. If you have a house that is standing that people love today, it's because of the thought and pain and stuff that you have put into it, the care and the details that you've put into it. Same goes for a brand. It's no different.
Can you give an example where you've taken it from a scratch and built it to a campaign?
Oh, wow. No, actually, I don't have any recent ones. I am currently working on a few, but I can't give you the names. But let's just say that the most of India doesn't know about this one product that we're going to look at. And our job is exactly to do that, to one, define what this brand is going to stand for,
Mhm,
to bring it out in these times,
mhm.
which can, one second, so bring it out with a campaign so that people who didn't see the campaign before it are suddenly aware of what is the product, what is the brand, what's in it for me. There's sudden enlightenment of knowledge in the head, right? And then, so once they're exposed to the campaign, they're aware, and they're also possibly gone on Amazon and checked out the product, right? That's the journey we're building right now. Obviously, I can't disclose details, but yeah, there's a lot of engineering to go into that little one inception that we're doing. But if we do it, then I'm happy to share that as a case study.
Lovely, absolutely lovely. Um, See, you're talking about now, you said you're handling a couple of brands as in you've just started. Considering this COVID-19 situation, okay, what genres of ads, when I say genres of ads, we're talking about entertainment, infotainment, that kind, okay, content. Which of these are working well right now when it comes to awareness and recall? Which of these is like working really well right now?
So, I'm sorry, could you just explain that elaborate on that in a couple of sentences?
Sure. So, in this situation, in the pandemic times, where people have moved from what they were doing to completely online, most of them.
Yeah, yeah,
What kind of content does ads? When
yeah,
you look at ads, either they're informative or they're entertaining or
yeah,
infotainment, right? What
yeah.
genre of these ads really work? What kind of content really works?
So I'm going to go by pure observation. I've not looked at any data per se, but when I was working with on an internal project, this data came out to me. One, purely from a consumer lens, if you look at it, we've spent a lot, we've used the internet a lot more for entertainment, right? Because obviously you got a lot of time suddenly, or you were forced with that time. You were like, let's spend more time on the screen, but let's browse more, Bollywood music, or learn something, or do something else. But essentially, I'm in the entertainment mindset at that point, right? The other thing that people were doing was, of course, consuming a lot of news, because that was critical. That's critical to knowing, can I step out, can I not step out, what is the scene, because that was a thing. And thirdly, of course, were some productivity elements. How do I work from home? How's learning for the kids going to happen, and stuff like that. Parenting as a job, was lots of searches around parenting as a job, right? So pandemic parenting, what to do and stuff like that. So that was more of a productivity related vertical. But mostly people are online for leisure, is what, from a consumer lens, which is normal, right? We know about these things. From an advertising point of view, I think I love the fact that Amol advertised during the entire lockdown, and advertised Mahabharat. And their success story just tells me lovely things about Indian businesses, Indian mindsets. They didn't get scared. They put so much money in the farmers' hands. They really didn't. They stood their ground. They had a responsibility. They're market leaders. They're industry leaders. So. And they took some calls which ensured that there were results, right? Nobody's been through this pandemic to say, oh no, this is how you have to learn and do it, stuff like that. They just instinctively knew. They've been through so much as well. Similarly, FMCG has gone into the rural place and completely, boosted up the economy with rural activations and rural advertising and rural comms. So that was also very, very healthy. And thanks to a lot of our non-urban, non-metro citizens, we are all happily, floating and not sinking. Otherwise, you can imagine. But your question was, what kind of advertising worked? I believe it was the leisure kind of advertising. The informative ones helped when you were in the immunity space, or the healthcare space, or the need of the hour, like Byju's or any of that thing helped. But mostly it was because the audience was in a leisure mindset, or the ads that helped with the leisure mindset, those were ones. And I was looking at YouTube's leaderboard ad last month. All phone ads, all of them. So like, okay, people are buying electronics. I mean, there's of course a push, because there's money, and anyway we need to think. But yeah, it's actually quite life as usual, but with a little bit of sensitivity, which I like. I really appreciate this about Indian advertising. I think we have so much heart and soul. We really care sometimes. Some people don't, but majority do.
Now that you're talking about leisure ads, what just came to my mind was something that was launched probably like a week or 10 days ago, WhatsApp. Okay,
Yeah.
lovely storytelling and all that, but why is WhatsApp actually advertising?
Honestly, I liked it. I'm a heavy WhatsApp user, right? So it was very nice to see WhatsApp come in and speak about. I'm not going to critique the ad. I'm not going to speak about that.
That's fine.
That's my personal philosophy. But I was completely open to it, because I said, you know what? I'm making new meaning about this brand because they put this ad out. I feel deeply connected. I feel like they get the Indian sentiment better. And I'm not dealing with that Firang, WhatsApp. Right? Oh, technically, it's not an Indian brand, right? I get the deep Indian sentiment. I'm glad that they do it. I mean, I like it. I like these. I personally am a big fan of this. A lot of times we see advertising between brands and consumers where there's no relationship. Okay? Because you're trying to get a new relationship started. But I love Amul, I love WhatsApp because I already have a relationship, and you're advertising to me and saying that there is there's something new to look forward to in the relationship. So I love it. I mean, I like that genre of advertising. uh, I, I think I consume more Cadbury's and 5 stars only because of that. So it's not
Absolutely.
anything else. Yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, I love it. I mean, there's storytelling to it. There's a big
yeah.
story about it's not more about the brand, it's more about you. So I think that makes, now that you're talking about the lovely ads, let's go to the ones that aren't. So, which was that worst ad you had seen on TV in the last 90 days from the time we started off with lockdowns?
I have seen no ads on TV because I don't watch TV. I am a demographic that doesn't watch TV. I only tune into to BBC,
Mhm.
honestly, and I get all of my news from online. So I say on BBC is mostly corporate ads that they run. They don't really run consumer ads. Very nice corporate ads. I have no problem with it. But yeah, I get away with this because I didn't see any shit. I didn't see any ads on TV because I didn't see. I
What
was,
was not
um, wow. See, this is the reason why I tell people also your advertising should be memorable, because it just disappears when you're looking. I'm sure I would have seen 20 ads yesterday. I just don't remember any of them. I also the other problem is I might be out of people's demographics from some angle.
possible?
Yeah. No, Mansi, I really don't have an answer to this one, but I think honestly tell you if something had really stood out, I would have spoken about it. And especially since I'm in the industry, I'm a lot more tuned in. I can say a lot of great things about the ads that we've produced, but that would just be a plug-in from a business perspective. But um, yeah, no, I think there've been lots of lockdown ads. There've been so many pandemic ads. I like the way brand equity called it disaster advertising or disaster advertising. After a point, I thought it became too much, to be honest. Initially, it was nice, but then I thought they were in a bid to get noticed. You were just riding on a trend, which was just distasteful. So sensitivity, yes, but exploiting, no.
Interesting. Now that you're talking about sensitivity, I want to come to this question. Um, there was this recent controversy on racism, and brands drop certain words off the brand itself.
Yeah.
What is your opinion on that?
I love it when brands listen to audiences, okay, and take action and think. It just shows that they're not a bully or they're not too bigger than their customers. So whether it's an Indian brand or whether it's a foreign brand, I like when L'Oreal also they had a controversy 3 years ago when it came to a black represent model within who worked with them, and today and this year that when they came out with their ad with sorry, I don't get her name, Viola Davis, right? Who's a veteran black woman actor. She's like gone through oppression at so many levels, Hollywood woman, and racism, so and beauty and everything, so she was like a fantastic spoke, and that stood out for me in terms of a content. And the funny part was the model who 3 years ago had a problem with it actually reacted to L'Oreal, and then L'Oreal responded and put her on the diversity board, the model. And that's what I enjoy, and I think it doesn't matter how late or how early you wake up. We don't know the dynamics that exist in a market, right? But if you at some point you were always constantly taking decisions, what product, what who do I what values do I propel. I mean, we've studied this hegemony and all of that, uh, and Bob Iger from Disney is the ex-CEO of Disney, has this is apparently like a brilliant person in this space, and I still have to read his book and watch his stuff. But I've heard that he's built content with such careful values and consideration for the future mindset. And I think when a brand has exhibited that, I respect them a lot more. And if they've been thoughtful in consideration, great. Let's not forget that, you know, beauty is an inherent need also, right? I love to feel beautiful. I may not have people, and like I was explaining to one of my colleagues, maybe in lockdown we don't spend that much anymore, but I said I like feeling groomed, because when I like feeling groomed, I'm more confident. I'm not thinking about 300 things. I'm only focusing on the work at hand. So if that means, you should see the amount of creams that I use, right? Uh, if that's helping me along the way, isn't that empowering my sense of beauty at some point, and grooming and confidence? So let's face it, the industry and the need, consumer need is there. It's just, are you exploiting or are you being responsible? And I feel the brand was being responsible, and I hats off to them. I mean, uh, yeah.
Now that we're
The
talking,
brand manager, the marketing head, and the business head would have been like shivering, but I think they took the right call, and I support them.
perfect. I love it. I love it. There's no gray area in this. I love it. So now that we're talking about exploitation, and now that we're talking about being right, or whether you're actually helping, I want to come to those aspects where it's about ethics. Legally, there are some of them who cannot advertise at all. Okay, like alcohol, lawyers,
Yeah.
medicines, doctors, hospital. So when you come to these brands, okay, how do we actually go ahead and make people aware that these people exist? So let's say a very famous lawyer, or somebody who's just starting out, or just even hospitals and doctors. How do we even go out there and tell people that we exist? Not because we want to be famous or mint money, of course, that's also a business objective, but just to go out there and tell them that we
Yeah.
exist. How do we even do that?
So, hospitals, lawyers, you already have a customer base, right? So, it's important to leverage that strength
Yeah, what
to,
about somebody who's just starting, like let's say
yeah.
starting this month? What about
Well, then either you're going to advertise and get a lot of people who are just curious, and then they will be your customers, your fans, or your haters, and pretty much get decided uh, on that level. Uh, but okay, so just if from a new thing, you're obviously operating as a business because there's a gap in the market, right? Uh, we've always learned this. Certain stores are because you know that there's a catchment area and there's no one else servicing that need and all of that. So talk about that, right? Because if you're actually solving a pain point from a consumer's perspective, then explain your why, advertise your why, is my point. Then attract people, then see. More than anything else, maybe you don't like the next door hospital or lawyer because they're constantly, exploiting you, or they've changed their minds, or they've changed their business model or something of that nature, and you come back and say, sorry, it's for the people we cared about, it's all of that, and we're doing, there is a why that you're doing it, and people get attracted to your why, your mission and vision.
that?
So, sorry, it starts with that. It starts with intent. Then there's messaging. Then, we were talking about this. There's intent, there's messaging, then there's messaging is only one part. There's actually what we want to do in a small period of time. Okay. Now, I want to leverage many vehicles to ensure that that entire objective is met. So I can use my local newspaper, I can use advertising, I can use people who work with me, I can invite people for a walk-in, I can give a free checkup test. All of these are different reasons for people to experience things. And then of course, then hopefully you achieved your objective, then you go back, say, okay, I'm going to invest more money, so therefore I need more people to come in, therefore I need more campaigns to run. So that's how it is. But yes, the engineering is required before you see all of these campaigns out there. The ones that work, you don't see the glacier. You see only the top part. There's a whole bunch of the glacier below, which is problem solving, so, proposition testing, a whole bunch of other things. Yeah.
I can see that passion in you. I can see how you actually went down your memory lane and, oh, this, remember the process and all that. Which is your favorite campaign so far at Ogilvy? Because you talked about the process, you talked
Yeah.
about the glacier. So tell me that favorite campaign where you worked it out, where you slogged it out, and what was the impact it had?
I already mentioned this in the beginning. Taco Bell. I loved it. It was, Taco Bell was around for a good 10 years before they started working with us, and they came to us on a small project in 2017. And it was, honestly, I came in a little too late, and it was a huge team effort. But I came in at the execution time, and there was so much success in that project. It was a pilot project that, so the product was great. Okay. So our job was to make sure that other people could understand what they could get out of it. We had to help them make meaning that, oh, this is something I would like to eat instead of this, or when I'm craving for this, right? So we help make that meaning. Otherwise, people, there was a Taco Bell forever. Mexican food has been around, but we helped make meaning out of one campaign, and very small budgets and very, very, very new culture content perspective that we were trying. So that worked so well that for an entire year, the repeat purchases of this particular product were interesting. So there's good results on that. Then it became, let's do something for New Year. Then pilot project became, okay, let's just do something for another 6 months. It became like a minimum, let's work together for a year and see if we can build the brand. We built the brand on social, on Instagram and influencers. No TV, no print, nothing. We consciously, each and every post was with a lot of maramari, like 12 posts promoted, but those 12 posts we put in 30 days of work, you know. And anything. So anyway, the business grew to such an extent that their businesses, that the stores are opening. And credit to them. I mean, I'm not saying that it was the marketing that drove it or the brand, but we worked in tandem so much that Yum globally was able to get a master franchise on in 2019. Who was to open 600 stores. It's all public information, and that those stores, I mean, from a business perspective, it's the highest outside the US, right? And quite a store. Now I don't know what this is, but of course, part of the master franchise contract and all of those things, they're not with Ogilvy anymore. But I'm just saying that we were that journey of going from 2017 to 2019 was this, where we had nothing to lose except just let's use our brains and have fun with this and make a brand if we can, and we did. And there were results that they never even imagined. I have a validation from the APAC thing saying that we could not have fathomed this results. So that's my glory point. Really, really happy about that. And it's given me the confidence that I can do it for anything now.
That matters. That matters a lot. That confidence level definitely matters a lot.
Yeah.
Hey, you spoke about the impact and how, like, for a year there were repeat purchases. When was the last time you saw an ad like that? Something that drove you into action. What ad did you see, and what was the action that you took?
Masterclass. Masterclass has been advertising to me for a year. Okay. It is a very phenomenally expensive. It's 15,000 rupees worth of very good classes. Okay, some 80 odd something lectures. And so I'm like, who is going to sign up for this? YouTube is there. Why do I need to go for all of these things? All right. A year ago, didn't bother. I knew they kept, every time they brought out a new teacher on my Instagram feed, it's there. Or on, or my Instagram feed, it's there. But something happened in the last 2 months for me. I had switched from a because I think I consumed a lot of YouTube. I was looking for a specific quality of content, especially gardening. Now I'm into gardening. So I was like, oh, this guy's going to teach me gardening. Oh, there's Bob Iger. Oh, there's this guy. And I'm like, 15,000 rupees for an entire year. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. I've downloaded the apps. I've decided also that I'm going to do it. Now I'm just waiting to convert and buy myself, because I'm like, the minute I buy it, if I don't have any time to spend on it, I will sit and curse myself for spending that money. So I'm waiting for it. And I'm like, if I'm not wasting a single day out of those 365 days access that I get. So for me, globally masterclass. But I think that I like all how some of the local farms have also been advertising to me on Instagram, because there's so much you can tell via the visual of it. And then I contact them on WhatsApp, and I figure out, by the way they respond, what kind of people they are. I actually research and see how many people, what do they think. I'll do a test purchase. Don't think that every customer is like converted loyal customer. There are people who are just checking you out. I'm doing all of it. Every e-commerce I'll do one small little test. I bought something from Myntra, and I tried to reach out, and I bought a lamp from Myntra. I'm sorry, Myntra, this is not about you. I bought I bought a lamp. Now it told me in that thing that, listen, you need a certain kind of bulb. It didn't come with a bulb. I wish it came with a bulb. I didn't think. It came in. I didn't bother to do anything. And this is all on me. So I said, okay, this needs a bulb holder. Let's go to Amazon and buy a bulb holder. I bought a bulb holder. Then that bulb holder didn't work. I said, okay, no, shit, silly me. I should buy a specific bulb. I bought what I thought was a specific bulb. It turned out that it was the wrong bulb also. So I'm like, huh? So to the point where I finally contacted the owners of the people, the manufacturers who sold on Myntra. I said, listen, can you just give me the Amazon link? I don't know where to get a bulb for my very sweet little lamp. And they were very helpful. So I will go back to them, because they were helpful more than anything else. And I'm a Myntra loyalist, so it's okay. I'm not at all disappointed. But yeah, these are some of the things I've responded to, and as you can imagine. But that's because I'm in that demographic in my life stage and those sort of things. For the younger ones, I don't know. And for parents, oh my God, I can't imagine the amount of advertising that's coming to you. I just cannot. I'm so sorry for your loss or pain.
I like that. Okay, so you were talking about the younger generation. So the videos that I do is also shown during my workshops and when I'm a guest faculty, because this adds value from an industry perspective. It really adds value to the students. So coming to them, okay. Um, See, Ogilvy is like a dream for any graduate who's into advertising, who's an advertising enthusiast, just to join the company and see how it works. It will probably take them years to put in their bit and make their campaigns alone, and they'll have to grow up the ladder. Yes, but what qualities do you look for in people when you start recruiting them to your specific team? What is it that you look for in these graduates? Are they even are there vacancies, or are there opportunities for freshers? And how do you qualify them that okay, they can be part of my team now? How does this work at Ogilvy?
So I'll speak on just my thing. Anyway, I'm sure that everyone is aware at a global WPP level, we're currently not hiring for this year, just sort of to keep our financials a little stable. But on a side note, Ogilvy leadership has been fantastic in this entire, lockdown. They've been so calming, so chilled out. So, of course, they're going through stress, but they're not passing the stress on to us. and thing. They've told us, they've given us tasks, they've told us, hold customers, hold clients, be better, help more, those sort of things. But more importantly, we all sit in our little denial bubble if we have a choice and just chill, because sometimes it's important to chill also more than anything else, from a so it's a very mentally healthy organization, and credit to our CEO, my branch head, who've all been, worked, they're really burnt out. No leader can go through this 4 months of crisis. It's not. Anyway, so we're not currently hiring, and I get a lot of requests also on LinkedIn for that. But in any case, right now, and it's not an option. But you were also asking, what is it that I look for, and do we hire freshers? Fresher hiring happens, but it's very rare. It's a once in a blue moon. I prefer, at least when I hire for my teams, that they've gone through some sort of learning, either an internship with us and then we onboard them, or, and that's also very rare, it'll be a consultant. I've done that for one person in my 6 years with Ogilvy. Uh, but I prefer when I look for that spark in someone. Do you have a little bit of, you don't need spoon feeding, but you have the sense of, okay, are you aware? Can you quickly calculate what's going on? What is needed? Do you have the sense to ask questions and clarify? Right? Be on the same page. A lot of people are hesitant. I don't understand why. Like, I'll get yelled at. No, I think you're doing a better job if you ask the questions, right? So I look for those kinds of aptitude to understand. Even if you don't understand, it's okay, but curiosity a little bit. Like, what did you think of this? I was thinking of this, like walking up to someone, being a little proactive. There's a difference between hyper enthusiasm and proactive in this. So I'm saying be a little proactive, but there's so much to do. If you're not engaging yourself, then I'm judging you also. If you're not able to, I look at how you use your time and I can make up. The other thing which a lot of people don't look for is, I look at the personal journey of the person also. Have you traveled? How do you absorb cultures? Do you have a sense for observing things, right? Bring something to the table that I cannot teach you, right? Teach me instead. Because our entire industry is based on observations and culture, and marrying that into our ideas, marrying all of it. So it's not, you have to, I look for these sponges who have a certain sense of curiosity, proactiveness, and of course I grill them on professionalism, because I think a sense of professionalism is like uncompromisable. It's a rare thing. So I actually, even if I've had all the other things, if you're not somebody who is known to be professional, like respect your workers, co-workers, speak respectfully, listen, turn up on time, no politics, those kinds of things. If I hear you cribbing more than like helping, I'm sure there might be other teams for you, but I'm looking for constructive, professional stuff. So, but having said that, there are 16 unique personalities in the world. Not everyone can be the same. You can't work with the same bunch of people. There are so many kinds and so many different things. It's good to have diversity. I try to learn and mend and work with others, but it has to work. There are some things where won't work out. Yeah.
Neat. I
So
mean, I loved it when you said professionalism, some very rare qualities. Yes. I mean, if somebody doesn't know about advertising, you can probably train them for 6 months and, put them on the ground. That's so much more easier. But when people don't have time management, the soft skills part of it, that's a lost cause. I
yeah,
agree.
and you have a willingness to learn. Like I have told my own middle management folks that you have a time management problem. Here are some recommendations. And if they put in the effort, they changed, they learned. But the ones who didn't put in the effort didn't make it. They really struggled.
Namita, you come from a very nice college, the background and the colleges that you mentioned. Okay, so professionalism is something that's probably imbibed at a college level, and then you moved on to companies that expect you to be professional, so they molded you. I mean, this comes from the initial years itself, right? So they mold you. Working with good bosses and mentors just makes the person that we are today when it comes to professional. So that's something that's uncompromisable, right? So I want to take the step back because today when I teach, it's a different ball game altogether with the students because I mean, I don't know, probably 10 years ago when you asked people why you're taking up this course, they're like, I'm very passionate about journalism, or when I'm very passionate about PR, I want to do advertising. But today when I ask them, you've taken up this course and why, what is the objective? No, I dropped out of engineering and I wanted to become a graduate, so I took up journalism. Like, okay, because this is such a, focused course, right?
Yeah.
So if you were the dean of a college, let's say if you had a college of your own or an institute or an academy of your own, so what kind of courses would you run in that college when it comes to journalism or mass comm, PR, advertising, digital media? How would you actually shape these things? One is, of course, as you said, the skill, but then more than that, this ability to learn, that curiosity, time management, manners, attitude, aptitude. What kind of courses would you do, and how would you shape this?
Wow. Okay. So education is critical. Absolutely. This our industries, whether it's journalism, PR, advertising, cannot work without the fundamentals of communication being taught and experienced. Even digital. I think that's one of the reasons why we're struggling with digital talent. Great digital talent is because there's so many fundamentals that need to be absorbed, and right now different pockets have different levels of those fundamentals per se. But I think, look, I have thought about instructing as a domain that's required, and what it would be like in the modern time. And so I look at it as actually with a lot of YouTube today, people can actually watch some stuff and learn what they need uh, to do. What they need is actually mentorship, and they need curation. These are two things that are required. And then they need a little bit of real life challenges, copy tests, like how, actually flip the ratio if I could. It's a working theory in my head, but in our college, in BCom, we have these product launch events or service launch events, and we had all of those to bring those levels, to make that part of the mainstream education if possible, and do it more often so that they can explore more things. So it's a little bit of case study methodology, but you judge them on all parameters. You judge them on the quality of the presentation that they bring to the table, how they pitch their conversation, their presentation, right? So it's the MBA case study methodology that you bring a little bit up. Then I've told you about, let people go and study on their own, because Gen Z right now has already, like, they've grown up watching stuff on YouTube. They're very used to, they don't use Wikipedia, but they go to YouTube, ride on that behavior. Don't use the schooling that was there for our time, where we had to physically carry books. They don't need a book, they just need a URL, right, or a QR code or something of that nature, where to go. Then curate, because a lot of stuff keeps happening on a daily basis. Lecturers, deans, colleges, they need to have a clear point of view. They themselves are an editorial team. They need to say, this is what's relevant, this is what's not. This is how you shape the thoughts or the perspectives on that. So this is how I would slightly flip it. In this, all the professionalism also kind of gets things. So if people can communicate clearly, if people can, and if you look at it, all of this harps on curiosity, proactiveness, and stuff. Paper giving, I don't know. I mean, or exam writing, paper giving, if we can get rid of it, great. If we can't, then. And as far as kids who don't have passion and want to fill the seats, I think we always had that. I think they're just much more now in proportion. But even in my college, I knew that there were so many people who were. I don't think at any point I was so sure about what I wanted to do, but yeah, I was either never in class because I was in some extracurricular or the other, or I was in class but at the second last bench. But I had good grades. I always had good grades. Nobody had a problem with me. But yeah.
Very nice, very nice. All this while, I've seen the fests of the colleges that is there. I think that's beautiful when people, I mean, when the students go ahead and organize it. There's so many skills that they actually pick up. But then I've seen teachers crib saying that, I don't have time for these fests. My portions are not complete.
Oh,
All the
no.
time, all the time. They say that all the time. But I'm so glad you mentioned this because practical experience, I think, is everything today. I think.
I remember a lot more from those.
Go on, tell
I
me
think
about it.
no, I do. I'm just saying, it's a no-brainer now. But in those days, we decided instead of a product launch, let's do a service launch, okay? Big thing. It's a no big thing. As kids, we have these big ideas, which are tiny little fixes, but that's cute. I also, during BCom, we had like a cultural fest, a business fest, a sports fest. All of us, the nice thing was that we all worked and there was different levels of delegation and leadership in each other. So I led the business side of it, whereas I would participate on the sports and I was a team member on the cultural. So everyone was involved in everything, and those dynamics are also important because when you are allowed to lead, the positions. When you're supposed to be in this, you learn the respect, how to listen to a leader. As a leader, you learn how to respect to the. It was, someone actually wrote this. A junior wrote this to me, and I remember Pawan Mahallingam. He put this on my Orkut. He said, by the time I was in my third year and I did my business, he said he put this down as a testament. Someone who taught me the art of leadership without yelling. And I was like, hey, now I get it. After like 13 years, I was like, shit, not that. But that came only because I was learning leadership from different people. And I had my predecessor in the business fest was a woman, and she was fabulous, right? And I always thought I was like one little version of her, but anyway, it worked out. I was happy.
Beautiful. I mean, it sums up saying that, if you have good mentors, if you have good role models, you'll land up being good. As simple as that, right? It's really
It is,
beautiful.
and more the responsibility on all of us to give it back. No point of just holding, you have to, and everyone is moldable. It comes from that.
True, true. I'm
Yeah.
just going to flip the questions that we have
Yeah.
taken and this. See, we've talked about students, but in the advertising field, okay, if we are looking at business members, those who are owners of businesses, okay, in this time of pandemic, either they could be new or they could be old. There are brands that have been constructed, but considering the hospitality industry right now, which is going down, what is your advice to these business owners at the moment, especially in the digital area, as in if they're looking at advertising in digital, because I don't know, television and print probably is a little too expensive for them right now. So if they're looking at digital and advertising and they have very less budgets, okay, and they're established brands or probably, as I said, somebody who started new as well. I've seen restaurants which were supposed to start by 20th of March and then there was a lockdown. They were all ready and put everything
My
in.
heart aches for
Yes.
them.
Yes. So what's your advice to them?
So my first advice to them is if you are an outdoor business, um, quickly diversify to being an indoor business. Okay, something that can be consumed indoors, because until the vaccine is out, you're going to be dealing with not optimal footfalls. you're going to be dealing with very small footfall. So quickly diversify. Don't give up on your outdoor dreams, like owning it. Just delay it for a while till the vaccine and till society is back in its full strength. But indoor is a possibility. Maybe not in this field. You can open up, expand your franchise to something else. You can see there. Everyone has strengths, so you have to use your strengths and say, can I think of an indoor solution, and quickly get to it and quickly experiment, because then you still have a chance of being accepted, right? So most people are in still a little bit of an experimental mode. Let me try from here, let me try from there, let me see this, let me see that. And consumers are also much more open-hearted because they can see they're seeing businesses bleed. So their hearts are also like, they'll do anything at this point. So lovely, virtuous cycle of goodness and helping each other. It's lovely. So if you are out to help people indoors, then they will come out to help you. The opportunity is there. That's the first part. The second is, because of digital, there are now many people you can target. Your existing customers, friends, databases, multiple databases. You can just look at a TG, an area. You can go after competition. You can be very creative in the way you get your message across. So it's a media play. My only humble submission to that is, don't waste your money. Experiment a little bit, see what is success. You'll have to do a lot of testing, right? Your money is very limited. So as opposed to doing nothing, experiment. See where you're getting a little result, right? Then put more money behind that, but continue opening up another experiment pointer. Explore another small thing. Now the beauty is that, while we build brands and all that, the beauty is that creative also, just putting some communication, sure, all media performs. I'm not saying no. Even if you put a logo consistently, that person will remember the logo and one call to action. It is the layer of communication and creativity, the pleasantness, the humanity behind that media, that actually gets people to warm up to you, right? There is that emotional connect. There is that subconscious registration. So that's why creativity is always going to be. While there's a science of media and audience reaching, there's an art also of conversation. And so don't try to extract money out of people. Try to be helpful, try to be useful, try to be entertaining, try to put people's minds at ease, and they will automatically come back. I don't know if anyone will believe me, but it's like a give world. I've seen it many times. If you invest in someone, they will automatically invest back in you. So it is something that I feel, if that intent and that path is walked, where I'm not where my intention is not how much money can I get quickly out of who all and which bakras and all of that, that never works. You will have little bit of success by confusing people and manipulating people, but my belief is that intention comes out very clearly in actions, and people can see through, and then you've lost that customer forever, and word of mouth. So start with the right intention. Follow through with the intention, have a little self-belief, have a little faith, be more humane in your approach, experiment. This media is you are belonging in an era where you don't need television and print to advertise. You have Facebook and Instagram, which you can put 100 rupees behind and it'll still give you something. That's such a blessing in itself, so leverage that, speak to people, but be humane and in your communication. And lastly, I think set expectations, right? Your business expectations. So if you want 30 customers today, then engineer your entire plan for those 30 customers. In order to get 30 customers, you have to reach out to 300 people. For 300 people, you need to know how you're going to target them, right? All people are not the same. All people don't think the same. There are different psyches and triggers and barriers. So good luck with 1 point something billion people that we have, but you can try. Thing. Even two people in the same room, you can't use the same communication with them.
It's so different. It's so different. So I really wish that, entrepreneurs had this mandate. Like I keep saying that, if you want to be a parent, there should have been a mandate on what it feels like to be a parent first, and then you should have chosen the option of whether you want to be a parent or not.
Agreed.
So entrepreneur wise, I really wish there was a mandate that you should go through the marketing course, so that they would understand what's the pain that goes behind actually finding your customers and engaging with them. With that, I think.
See,
Yes, please go on.
on that, the last point, you think you don't exist. No business exists in a vacuum. It exists in a relationship with your audience, with the consumer target. If you respect it, if you solve problems for it, if you make their lives better, automatically they will respond to you. The intention works.
Perfect. I mean, that's very neatly put. Okay, it's most like the golden rule. Just respect them. That's what is going to get you. What according to you is the future of advertising in India? I mean, when I ask you that, I mean from a channel perspective, from the genre of content and measurement. How is this going to move forward? Because I've seen that brands have changed the parameters that they measure. Now it's a lot more like it was sales and conversion. Now they're taking actually steps backwards in terms of get back to awareness and engagement. So those things are happening. So what do you think is the future of advertising in India?
Well, the one trend I see is that we're going to see a lot more Amazon advertising or e-commerce advertising. Because Amazon is more than just a selling place now. There's a lot more touch points. You have Prime, you have, generally when you're browsing, my mother gets emails from Amazon. She forwards it to me saying, I like this product, you should use this product. So there's an entire ecosystem of Amazon thing. And I think you need to, there are some tools in the market which if you have Amazon brokers, you should go to them, because they will be able to give you really good ways of creating awareness and conversion, right? So Amazon advertising or e-commerce advertising is what I see growing. If you can't, TV and screen advertising is here to stay. That's all our human attention is on screens, more than paper, more than even audio. So screen advertising, whether it is, somebody asked me the other day about smartwatches. I said, dude, if there are enough smartwatches in the world, that also will be a screen we will advertise. So screen advertising is here to stay. It is just the size of the screen and the context of the screen usage which will determine the change in advertising. Story advertising is forever. We have grown up in stories, mythology. Everything has been about storytelling. We humans are wired for stories. Our neuroscience also tells us that we remember better in stories. So story advertising is going to be forever. There are going to be more stories told. There's a new generation. There are new cultures, there are new things. So all that's going to be there forever. So stories can be told in 5 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute, whichever way that you want to do. So that's going to stay. I think I love the fact that there are creative businesses everywhere. I think that is, I think it's not about creative advertising. I think the business itself is creative. The product is creative, new. The entire thinking itself is so different, is so art, like inspired by nature, inspired by life, all about, not because there's just more. I feel like there's a lot more thought and heart coming out from all of these creative individuals that we have, who are just able to harness that creativity and earn a little bit of a money and little bit. So it is inherent creativeness, and I love that they're able to work out a business model. It's okay if you shut after 5 years, yeah. I have friends who like designed dresses because that was their passion, and we all bought. It's not like we didn't, we all bought. We're like, dude, that's amazing. I can't go into some store and some mall and get that kind of stuff. I'll get from only people that are, who have that little bit of talent. So I think businesses and people are just being able to trade a lot more creatively, and by extension, the communication itself will be very differentiated and stuff like that. Yeah, and like I said, because it's screen based, visual delighting is never going to be there, or never going to change. Vernacular, I think, great advertising. I really believe regional cinema in India is fantastic. Like, the quality is really good. I think that's what we're going to see from regional advertising also, per se. And then, because media and entertainment is going to be, promoted a lot by the government in India, which is basically more stories and more games uh, within India, as well as for the rest of the world, exported to the world, as well as world stuff being developed here. I think we're going to see a lot more craft and execution and advertising within games content, and a lot more placement within like regional OTT and things like that. So it's basically, these are some of the trends that I see. Yeah. And every brand who thinks that they are in control of the brand, they're very wrong. It's the consumers. It's
Always,
the
always,
audience.
always.
Yeah. It's always been that way. I think it's just time that people just opened up their eyes and said, you can attempt to define your brand, but it's best to define it in the ways that audiences define it.
Beautifully put. Beautifully put. And I think as we come to the end of this conversation, because it's a good 75, 80 minutes of conversation, I have a very
I
personal
would
question.
pity anyone who's going to watch
No, I think this is
in the end.
no, I have enjoyed this conversation. So, um, and it's a very personal question that I want to ask you. Um, what are your plans for the next 5 years, in terms of career growth? You're already the VP at Ogilvy North,
Yeah.
right? So what happens in the next 5 years from a career perspective?
So I was telling you, and this is the joke I've been telling everybody. Whoever told us this thing about corporate ladder and being, there's something at the top, was playing a big joke on all of us. It's quite crap. Okay, there is nothing at the top. It's lonelier and stressful and just everything. I'm happy. Look, everyone wants money. There are different ways of getting money, right? I'm happy tomorrow if I become an Amazon broker, or my new passion is recycling and and entrepreneurship in that space, and anything that I want to do, some service and stuff like that. Just generally, I can be passionate by the drop of hat. But anyway, coming back to that, there are many ways of earning money. If you're really good at something, then you have I'll give credit to Robin. Wow, I don't even remember. So I give credit to the guru, Robin Sharma, who said, if it's a crime to play small with your talent, right? So if you've got something going, if you understand comms, you understand advertising, you understand digital, then give back to the world, teach, help, mentor. So that's what I'm doing right now. I think the next 4-5 years will be in that space. But at some point, I think all this passion, and we've discussed, this is going to run out at some point. So a nice, small, little profitable business is also something that appeals to me. Because in this day and age, I can afford to have a second career, right? We've got longer lives. We can do anything. So I'm very open. And I'm not enamored by corporate ladder success at all. I keep telling my bosses, I don't want your job. So they also keep saying, we don't want our jobs. So it's a sham, but yeah, we are enlightened beings, and the best way to stay happy is to not be stressed. And yeah, so my career looks like that. If I can, I will continue giving with my talent. If not, I'm happy to find more avenues. No problems. I'm very, very lucky and blessed that way.
Perfect. You know, in the beginning of this conversation, we started out with business growth, digital exploration, and then multi-channel campaigns, advertising, ROI, and at the end of it, we talk about happiness. So I think that's,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's so beautiful. I love the conversation today because I think it's mostly been like, we've been speaking about a journey where we started with the objectives and things like that, and actually came to the end, the destination, which is happiness. Even though I don't believe that happiness is more like a destination, it's a journey, it's
Destination.
probably an attitude. Okay, so thank you so much, Namita. With that, we come to the end of this episode. I think I've loved this conversation. It almost felt like, an alumni meet, and I'm so
Yeah,
glad I met you. And I'm so glad we did this. I'm so glad we
I'm
did this
glad to.
conversation.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for your time and efforts for this lovely conversation. I hope to keep in touch for more such stories and more campaigns that you have mentioned, more as case studies. And thank you so much for the time in this episode. So, for those of them who are watching this episode, I'm sure you have an opinion on our conversation today. So, all you need to do is leave your opinions, or if you have questions, just leave it in the comments sections, and we will take it up. If it is to Namita, I will actually pass it on to her and get this answered as well. And please do it, because that would be a learning for me. So if you leave your comments, if you leave your opinion in the comment section, I think that would be a great learning for me. And also, if you want to get in touch with me, I'm available on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Gmail as ConsultManasi. So thank you so much for watching. And Namita, thank you for your time. I'm so glad we did this. Yeah. Thank
Happy
you.
to. Good luck. See you soon.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. See you, girl. Take care.